Okay, this is our presentation on multilingual learners from Jasmine, Felicia, Sarah, Monica, and Deshawn.
Dewey School of Excellence, Identification and Background Information. Dewey School of Excellence is located on the south side of Chicago in the historic Inglewood community. The school serves students from pre-kindergarten through 8th grade and operates across two buildings. Early childhood programs, including pre-K and kindergarten, are housed in the Child Parent Center, CPC, while students in grades 1 through 8 attend classes in the main building. Population. Since the onset of COVID-19, Dewey School of Excellence has experienced a substantial decline in student enrollment, dropping by over 36% from 2018 to 2024. The sharpest decreases occurred during and immediately after the pandemic's peak years. While the most recent data shows a small uptick, enrollment has not yet returned to the pre-pandemic levels, indicating an ongoing need for community re-engagement, family support, and strategic outreach. Demographics 2019. In 2019, Black students made up 93.7% of the school's population. Stark contrast to both the broader district, 36.6%, and Illinois State, 16.7% demographics. With Hispanic students accounting for only 6% of enrollment compared to 46.6% in the district and 26.4% statewide. Asian students represented 4.1%, slightly above the state's 5.1%. Demographics 2024. Dewey still serves a predominantly Black student population, approximately 90% identified as African American and around 9% as Hispanic, while the remaining students are white and multiracial. This mirrors the broader demographic trends in Inglewood, where the traditional Black majority remains strong, but the Hispanic population has been steadily increasing. According to the 2020 census and local student studies, the Hispanic share of Inglewood's population grew from about 1 to 3% in earlier years to nearly 4%, and some reports even documented a nearly 400% jump in Latino residents since 2010. In this context, Dewey's rising Hispanic enrollment reflects a vibrant shift in the community, a sign of growing diversity and change.
Historically, Dewey has served a predominantly African American student population. While this remains true, the school has experienced a notable increase in Hispanic enrollment in recent years. This shift reflects broader demographic changes that we see throughout Chicago. However, despite the gradual yet consistent demographic shift, Dewey has yet to fully adapt to meet the cultural and linguistic needs of our changing population. Teachers have yet to meaningfully integrate Hispanic culture into the instructional practices beyond whole school Heritage Month assemblies. Our classroom libraries and curriculum materials do not reflect a full range of cultures represented in our school. In the past, we did intentional and necessary work to ensure our African American students saw themselves reflected in posters, texts, and curriculum. However, um, however, our student body was 99% African American at that time. Now, as our Hispanic student population steadily grows, we must adjust and shift our mindsets to expand our libraries and become open to new cultures and perspectives, both instructionally and school culturally. A growing challenge in the language barrier often provides a hindrance for our students and their families. While majority of the teachers, clerks, and leadership team do not speak Spanish, this gap creates an ongoing obstacle in building strong relationships with family and communicating essential school information for students to feel supported in the academically and socially.
All right, so continuing on with this slide, today we're focusing on multilingual learners, or MLs. These students are in pre-K through 12 whose home or ancestral language is not English and who are developing proficiency in many languages. This definition highlights a shift in mindset rather than seeing students only through the lens of what they lack in English. We now recognize that bilingual or multilingual development as a strength. In the past, we've commonly used the term English language learner, or ELL, as we all know. This term, while widely used in policy and programming, can carry a deficit connotation, implying these students are behind or need to be fixed. That kind of framing can unintentionally lower expectations or lead to narrow instructional goals that focus solely on English acquisition rather than holistic development. Rather, the term multilingual learner reflects a more asset-based approach. It emphasizes that these students bring rich linguistic and cultural knowledge to our classroom, and that needs to be recognized. So, as educators and as leaders, using the term ML isn't about just language, it's about shifting our perspective and embracing a more inclusive, strength-based approach to student success. Next slide, please. Let's take a closer look at subject-specific academic challenges that ML students often face across core content areas. These challenges are not due to lack of ability, but often stem from language barriers, cultural differences, or unfamiliar academic practices. As you can see in reading, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I'll kind of go over some of the points. In reading, ML may struggle with cultural bond literature texts, assuming knowledge of American customs, humors, or idioms. So things that we may be accustomed to as first English speakers, people may not be. In math, while math is sometimes seen as universal, MLs may struggle with understanding if the instruction is too language heavy. This can often come across in word-based problems for math. In science, many ML students may lack foundational background knowledge in US-based science content, especially if schooling was interrupted. And moving on to social studies, this subject often presents some of the steepest challenges, being that many of these ML students have limited prior knowledge of US history and geography. And also, again, there's that linguistic aspect as well, students not being able to fully comprehend things that are not in their native language. Next slide, please. Okay, great. What are the issues multilingual learners have in schools? So let's go ahead and let's break this down. So emotional and psychological stress. Many ML students, especially those who are immigrants or refugees, carry profound stress or trauma stemming from migration, family separation, or instability in their home countries. They often face pressures to assimilate, which can lead to internal conflict between maintaining their cultural identity and fitting in. Oftentimes they ask themselves which one is more important, and as a way, they then have to assimilate to the culture that we all live in. As a result, students may experience anxiety, depression, grief, or even behavioral issues. These are not simply individual challenges, they're responses to systematic pressures. All right, and that's all for me.
I'm not sure if you guys have anyone assigned to do these instructional barriers. It was something I added. Sorry. I don't mean to ruin the meeting.
It's okay, Monica. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. Let's see. Instructional barriers. In most teacher preparation programs, educators do not receive proper training or how to address multilingual students in the classroom. So, limited teacher training, which refers to new teachers face preparing for multitude of classroom demands that a traditional bachelor's degree does not provide in a bilingual endorsement. Cultural responsiveness, schools are quickly recognizing the value in establishing a school climate where all cultures are valued and included. Various language proficiency levels, which limits funds and scheduling conflicts. Most schools resort to mixing various language proficiency levels in the same school. Effective and inclusive curriculum, meaning instruction to occur, there needs to be intentional curriculum weighting that offers inclusive resources, but most schools are resistant to making the proper accommodations. Most multilingual programs encounter an abundance of challenges when addressing the needs of multilingual students, creating learning gaps difficult to address as students move through the school system. So standardized testings, all standardized tests have yet to be offered in any other languages other than English. Limited funding, most schools allocate minimal funding towards any structural existing bilingual program. Limited community parent outreach, most schools lack a translator or school personnel who can ensure communication, and L2 is provided to all multilingual families.
So, what are some research solutions that we can implement to support MLs at the classroom level? So, as the number of MLs increases, schools must respond with comprehensive, culturally responsive solutions, both in the classroom and across the school community. So, we start off small within the classroom. So, one, sheltered instruction and scaffolding. Using strategies like the SIOP model, which is Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol, to make content comprehensible. And I'll touch on that a little bit later with a graphic. It's important to incorporate visuals, gestures, sentence frames, graphic organizers to really scaffold that learning. Language-rich environments are important. So we're creating print-rich classrooms with bilingual labels, word walls, language-specific resources. And we want to provide independent reading books in both English and students' home languages. Here is an example of the SIOP model. It's a research-validated framework for designing and implementing effective lessons for English language learners. So building background, connecting to prior knowledge or experiences, comprehensible input, using visuals, as I already mentioned, gestures, clear speech, different strategies or techniques to support the learning, interaction, opportunities for student discussion. I think we kind of miss out a lot on that, being able to talk to one another. That goes with collaboration among students, even in the classroom. Hands-on activities to apply learning. Lesson prep and delivery. We have to engage the students and pace it appropriately. What we have to remember is that one student's pace may not be the same as the others. So I really like this model when we need to implement in the classroom. So some other implementations to support these learners in the classroom level will be culturally responsive teaching. So integrating a student's background into their lessons and discussions, really integration is huge. We don't want it to just be students over there on their own kind of feeling excluded, because then that goes right back to what Deshawn was speaking about that type of anxiety and the feeling of kind of being exiled in the classroom. Differentiated instruction. We need to adjust tasks based on language proficiency, using can-do descriptors, using technology tools like translation apps, bilingual dictionaries, reading software. And then language development across subjects, encouraging speaking, listening, reading, and writing in all subjects, not just English, and implement collaborative group work, like I was just speaking about collaboration, to build both content knowledge and the language skills within the classroom. Then we can look at it at a bigger school level, right? So how do we branch this out into the whole school, not just within our little classrooms? So provide regular training on language acquisition, cultural awareness, and inclusion. Include paraprofessionals and support staff in training to ensure school-wide understanding of the needs. So this is office staff, everybody, not just teachers, right? We need the aides in there too. Bilingual liaisons and family engagement. So hire or assign bilingual staff to act as liaisons between school and home. Offer translated materials and interpretation at meetings, and host family workshops in multiple languages. Something I've seen often now is things that are going home, or bulletins that are being posted or sent home or posted in multiple languages. We can't just do English anymore. We have to realize that there's all different languages in our classrooms and in our school communities. Collaborative planning time. We have to build time into the schedule for general education teachers and bilingual teachers to plan together. Use data from language proficiency assessments to inform joint instruction. Inclusive policy and leadership. Ensure school policies are equitable for MLs. This includes placement decisions, assessment practices, and discipline procedures. Engage administrators in leading equity-focused initiatives around school access and bilingual education. And then finally, dual language or transitional bilingual programs. Where possible, it's important that we implement dual language immersion or transitional bilingual programs to promote biliteracy and content mastery, emphasize on content mastery. Ensure programs have sufficient resources such as certified bilingual teachers and appropriate curricular materials. So overall, some things we really should focus on is collaboration between general ed and language specialists, providing time for co-planning, co-teaching, encourage shared responsibility for language and content development, train staff on how to integrate ESL strategies into the core instruction as well. And then family community engagement is so important. Offer PD on best practices for engaging linguistically diverse families and teach staff how to use interpreters effectively and communicate in cultural, respectful ways.
To further elaborate leadership implications and recommendations, looking at this metaphorical model, it represented as an iceberg of culture, which illustrates that what educators and administrators observe in students represents only the visible surface of a much deeper and more complex cultural foundation. It defines socialization as an ongoing process through which individuals absorb society norms, values, beliefs, and behaviors, which occurs primarily through three key channels: your families, your communities, and your schools. Given this understanding, the model emphasizes that educational leaders must actively develop their cultural competence by engaging in three essential practices: implementing meaningful family engagement initiatives, conducting community outreach efforts, and establishing multilingual instruction and support systems within schools. These actions help leaders understand and respond to students' cultural backgrounds rather than just making assumptions based solely on surface level observations. Moving on to the next slide. These 5 strategies are helpful for administrators and leaders to enhance family engagement with multilingual families. Two-way communication involves establishing access communication channels, celebrating diversity, focusing on creating an inclusive school environment that values family linguistic and cultural background in the school. Learning engagement provides opportunities for families to participate in their children's education through family literacy nights, literacy workshops, and so much more. Building trust and relationship emphasizes developing strong connections with families through active listening, mutual respect, and acknowledging each family's unique experiences. Community connections involves partnering with local organizations to provide additional support and resources. Overall, these strategies work together to create a comprehensive approach that moves beyond surface level outreach to build meaningful partnerships with multilingual families and their children's educational journeys. Next slide. Administrators or leadership personnel can implement general practices for highlighting multilingual strengths in schools that extend outside to the community. 3 key strategies for administrators or leaders to showcase multilingual learners' achievements and strengths. A first approach is sharing the success of multilingual academic, social, personal, and social emotional achievements with grade level teams, in person, the school community. Perhaps even extending that recognition through wider school communities through like social media platforms. A second strategy focuses on publicizing, recognizing multilingual learners who receive honors like perfect attendance, sportsmanship awards, honor roll status, and so on. These achievements can be shared through various family communication channels, including town hall meetings, newsletters, school websites, and other announcements. Inviting a multilingual alumni or community members that share their experience about how multilingualism contributed to their success through either in-person or virtual presentations. These practices aim to shift the narrative around multilingual learners and the deficit-based thinking to assess-based recognition, demonstrating their valuable contributions to the school and community. Next slide. Administrators can develop teacher cultural competency through educational opportunities. So cultural competency is defined as the ability to effectively interact with people from different cultures by understanding and appreciating and respecting cultural differences while adapting behavior and communications accordingly. 5 strategies for educators to build cultural competency. Cross-cultural interaction involves successfully engaging with individuals from different cultures and various cultural situations. Bias examination requires educators to recognize and address their implicit biases to combat inherent inequities in their personal and professional environments. Cultural knowledge expansion emphasizes leveraging existing cultural understanding while actively learning about student-specific cultures and their backgrounds. Student connection focuses on building relationships with students based on their unique cultural backgrounds, experience, and identities. Diversity demonstration involves actively showing and promoting the value of diversity within the classroom, school, and the community. Overall, these strategies provide frameworks for administrators to help teachers develop skills and awareness necessary to work effectively with culturally diverse populations and create more inclusive educational environments. And last but not least, the next slide. Reviewing the state and district growth trends of multilingual learners of District 299 tells us that there is a continuous increase throughout current years of multilingual learners in the public schools. These trends tell these leadership roles that there is a need for teachers knowledgeable in the areas of teaching English as a secondary language, bilingualism, and multilingualism. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you so much. Our resources are listed at the end if you want to go ahead and take a look at those. And that concludes our session. Thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed it.